Hello,
Hello.
how's it doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for willing to do this, Amber.
Of course. Thanks for inviting me.
That's what I do best. Because
I know.
honestly, I've been hearing from you since the show The Promised Neverland.
Oh, thank you. I love The Promised Neverland.
Which, to tell the truth, I'm actually friends with the voice cast director Steve Staley, who has been seeing my Instagram stories for the last few years since I've interviewed him.
Yeah, he's a wonderful person and very funny.
I bet he is, which he actually is, which I took a voice acting class with him.
You did. Did you enjoy it?
Yes, and he said I sound like a real anime character. And
Yeah.
that's the truth. And he's not the only one who said that. Everybody say it, including Kyle Hebert, Richard Epcar, and many, many others. Even
Wow.
Wendy Lee as well even said that too.
Yeah, you have a great voice.
And that's exactly what I'm intending to do, trying to become a voice actor show, in order to work with everyone in voice acting. That's why I needed everybody's help to get me to be part of a show.
Yeah, I love your channel. You've interviewed a lot of great people.
I'm glad you say that. But anyway, I I have many questions I wanted to ask you.
Okay, I'm ready, I think.
Tell me, how is it like being a voice actor in many animated shows?
Awesome. It's I still get nervous every single time I go to record, and I still feel so lucky and excited every time I get to work. So it's really awesome. Hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. Which leads me to the most important question. How did you get into voice acting?
Oh, well, um, a long time ago in Ohio, I took some acting classes and I really, really enjoyed them. And that's just kind of how I got interested. And I started to hear, I've always watched cartoons, but I never thought that maybe one day it would be possible for me to be in them until I took this acting class and started talking to other people who are auditioning with agencies and whatnot. So I heard about other classes you could take, and one of them was for animation. So I took it and I just had so much fun taking the class that I decided that was what I wanted to do. And I was going to move out to California to do it. And it took me many years to save up and get ready, but I did. And I moved all the way out here. It's a 3-day drive across the country. I made that. And it's been a lot of ups and downs, but I started doing auditions without an agent. And one of my very first jobs was for this game called Zoo U. And it was through the 3C Institute of Learning. And I got to voice lots of different little characters, boys and girls. And it's a social emotional learning game. It was up for a lot of awards, just teaching cooperation and empathy and all sorts of things to young kids. And it's still, I think, one of the most important projects I've ever worked on. And I did that for a long time. And as I was starting to build my career out here. So, yeah, that's a lot.
Interesting.
I know.
So this is how you got into voice acting
Mhm.
because of the things you have been doing since that very day in Ohio. You
Mhm.
know, to tell the truth, I also had a dream about seeing about seeing myself in an animated show. And that's where, until eventually, when I discovered voice acting, that's where I came to realize that in order to see myself on TV, I must become the very thing I was meant to become, a voice actor, in order
Yeah.
to finally, in order to spill out all the animation that I wanted to spill, manage to bring out in order to make my dream into reality.
Yeah, I love that you, like me, I love that you had a dream and you decided to just go for it. It's so cool that you have a YouTube channel and you're interviewing people and using your voice. That's super awesome. I'm jealous.
Well, don't be, because you will see everything with your own eyes, knowing the simple important facts that I wanted to learn in order to gain the experience of what it means to be a voice actor. But anyway, there are like many questions I wanted to ask about your characters, but what was your first ever character you get to play as way before you got into many others?
Oh my goodness. So, my first thing I ever did that was a video game was called it was called, I think it was called Lord of Magna Made in Heaven, I think. And it was a character called Hannah, and she was a shopkeeper. And she was just an older lady. And it was very difficult. It was very scary. It was something I don't normally do. And that was my first ever thing. So that was a very difficult session for me to get through. But my director was so, so great and really helped me through it. And so that was my first ever thing. And it was just, kind of a small role. But even though that session was very hard and very different from what I thought I would be doing, I kept trying. So I just say, even when something's difficult or something scares you, don't give up, you know? Because even, sometimes things don't go the greatest, but that doesn't mean it's not meant for you, you know? That's what I think. So my next thing I booked was Laphicet in Tales of Berseria, which is still one of my favorite roles to this day. Have you ever played Tales of Berseria?
I was gonna ask you that question about your favorite part about playing that character, but since you said it yourself, yes, I did.
I loved that game. And that game was so exciting to me because one of my dream characters that I always, when I got into voiceover, that I kind of like the archetype of what I wanted to play was like Peter Pan, like, or Pinocchio, you know, a real live boy. And so when I booked a Laphicet and I got to be like, he wasn't, such a little boy starting out, but he evolved so much into exactly who he was. And I got to be so different throughout the entire game. There was so much acting in it, and his personality just came shining through by the end. And yeah, I loved it. And all of the actors in that game were so good. I thought I played the game and I just couldn't put it down. I played it. I think I don't know. I barely did anything else for weeks.
I see. But anyway, how does it feel about playing Faye in Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia?
Oh, I love Faye too. She was after Laphicet in Tales of Berseria. I booked Faye, And she's so different from Laffy. And it was so cool for me to play a character who is girly but strong. And yeah, maybe she's a little too obsessed with a boy, but sometimes we all get obsessed with things. So I don't think that's her only love in life. I just think that we didn't get to see her other loves. I wish we would have seen more of her. So, yeah.
I see that because I've been playing Fire Emblem, and that I've seen you in that game alongside Kyle McCauley, Erica Lindbeck, Darren DePaul, and my good friend Richard Epcar.
Yes.
But anyway, back to my questions. But how is it like playing Yasaha in Phantom Breaker from the shirt you're wearing?
Oh yeah, you noticed. Awesome. That I think she is the funniest character I've gotten to voice and maybe the most like myself in a way. Definitely a tomboy. I like her style. She's a little salty and sassy, and that style of game I love because I grew up in arcades. So yeah, and I just when I booked that game, I was so excited. So that was a very fun one to record. Super fun. I don't know if any of my other characters have had dialogue that funny. Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Mhm.
super nice. Because all I know is that I've been here. I know about the game Phantom Breaker and that you, alongside with Patrick Seitz and others, were doing magnificent job doing to make sure they fit the character correctly,
Thank
including
you.
you, Amber.
Thank you.
It's what I do best. But anyway, what's so awesome about playing Mela in Dead or Alive 6?
Oh, so I think, like I just said, I have a special place in my heart for fighting games. Of growing up in arcades, and I played a lot of like Mortal Kombat and Dead or Alive was one of my favorite series. And I didn't know when I booked that what it was. And I didn't know until afterwards. So I had no idea. And it's probably good because I think I would have been a lot more nervous if I had known exactly what it was, that it was one of my favorite games. Um, yeah, so that was fun. That was super fun. Um, Sometimes I think I would have made her a little more tomboyish if I had known. Um, but other than that, I just loved voicing her. That was fun to get to do a real like fighting efforts. So that was really cool. Yeah.
Interesting choice of words you have. All I know is that I've been playing Dead or Alive, or to be precise, aka Ninja Geddon, throughout the
Hmm.
last few years. Well, I've been seeing clips of it, and I noticed your character Mela, and you are doing a good job playing her, especially when she gets to interact with Lauren, Linda, and of course many others.
Yes. Yes.
But anyway, what's the most awesome thing when playing Mellow in Pokemon Masters?
Oh my goodness. That's another one I was well, see, now I feel I'm super excited about everything, I think, because now you're mentioning all my favorite things, and maybe all my things are favorite for different reasons. Um, I was so excited when I booked that because I have a niece and a nephew, and I just know, and my best friend's kid is 11, and I'm just like, this is something that they will really play. They can, play now, and it's such a huge it's just such a huge franchise, and it's just so much fun. And yeah, so booking that, and she's so cute. And I also love food, and she is very into cooking. And so yeah, yeah, my favorite thing about that is just being part of the Pokemon world. I don't think I ever thought that I would get to be a voice actor in Pokemon. That's crazy.
Yeah, I noticed
Mm.
that too. Because I've known about Pokemon for the last few years since I was a little boy. I even met with one of the voice actresses of the show, Megan Hollingshead, aka Nurse Joy. And not only her, but Tara Sands also, the voice of Ivysaur,
Cool.
and of course many others like Mike Polek and many more yet to come. And yet, I've seen you in that game Pokemon Masters. You did very well playing it, along
Thank
along with Richard Apcar and of course my good friend Greg Chan. But most importantly, our good friend, the one who passed away 1 year ago,
Oh
Billy
no.
Kometz, which which again I made a video for him 2 weeks ago on the day of his anniversary in order to honor his legacy, to make sure he is remembered like the others. And to tell the truth, he's one of the few reasons why I wanted to work in voice acting for, so I can work with many people who he knows of, even you.
I never got to meet Billy, but I have never heard a negative word about him. Everybody that I know that knows him loved him so much. So, it was really great of you to make that video, and I don't think he ever will be forgotten. He's definitely made a big mark on this world.
But anywho, what was your favorite part about being Phil in the Promised Neverland?
You know, I had just watched the anime in Japanese, and I never auditioned for that role. And when I booked it, I was like ah, because I had just watched that series and I loved it. And I was like, who thought of me for, it was amazing. I mean, Bang Zoom, it was amazing. Mommy thought of me for that role. And I love, love, love voicing little boy characters. And he's such a cutie and just so courageous little guy. And Steve Staley directed me on that, your buddy.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was so excited too when I heard the English voices, because I just thought they were so fitting, you know?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, they are.
yeah.
You were very good at playing that character, along
Thank
with Erica Mendez, Jenny Torado, Laura
Yes,
Post, and of course my
yes.
good friend Cedric Williams Jr., who I interviewed with a few months ago.
Oh yeah? I'll have to
Yeah,
watch that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, he's a good friend
Cool.
of mine who followed me through social media just as you did, because of
Awesome.
him knowing more about me and everything. So
Cool.
yeah. But anyway, what's the biggest thing when playing Hornastasia in Fire Emblem Engage?
Oh my goodness. Oh, that girl, she is such a mixed personality. She had so much over the top, um, over the top, just her personality, her voice lines. She's a bit of a gremlin, and I was very kind of oh my goodness, what are people going to think about her? Are they going to watch her enough to know that she's really like a little softy inside? And that she's just a young girl, really, aside from like her crazy makeup and who she tries to present herself as. And she's so obsessed with being cute and all of that. But underneath, she's just got so many layers and she's been through a lot of trauma and she's just young and trying to figure out how to deal with it. So I feel like she's very relatable, but you have to get to know her just like any of us, right? It's like we don't know what's going on in each other's lives. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yes, because I played that game Fire Emblem Engage like a few months ago, and I've got to
Yeah.
say, you did very well playing that character, especially when it comes to her interacting with the protagonist. And you,
Thank
along
you.
with Christina V, and of course, Kalino Shaughnessy and others, you did very well playing them. Even, of course, the summonings of the ones who were summoned by the protagonist including Matthew Mercer and Yuri Lowenthal and others. Because hey, it's an important fact we have to accept. But anyway, what's the big awesome thing when being popcorn in Zazubaland?
Oh, popcorn. I I really enjoy being popcorn. She's such a little cutie and she is a little bit sassy. She reminds me in a way of Hortensia. But she's just more natural. She is kind of a lot like myself, kind of like Yuzuha. Like she's a little like what's the word? She's slightly sarcastic. Yeah. And I like to be slightly sarcastic. And yeah, she's a fun one. And for that series, that is the first and only time I've gotten to sing. In the theme, I sang, and I'm not a singer. So that was very nerve-wracking. And I think I'm very proud of how it turned out. But it was funny. They didn't ask me if I could sing. They just said, "You're going to be singing part of the theme song." And I was like, ah, I don't really sing. But I did. Yeah. So be courageous. And that was what they told me when they were helping me through singing it. They said it's not as important what you sound like. It's important that you be confident when you're doing it. That's really good advice for a lot of things, I think. So that confidence will come across in your singing.
Very interesting choice of words you got there.
Thank you.
And that's a good. But anyway,
Hmm?
what's so good about playing Chuck in Beyblade Burst Surge?
Ah, um, that's another one I was very excited about because my best friend's kid loves Beyblade. So that was super exciting. That was the first, he was like, "Yay, you're in it." He was so excited. Um, I just, again, I love little boy characters, but once upon a time, I used to MC um at the Ironman triathlons. So I always loved like announcing and cheering people on. So, they would run, at the end of their run when they're coming through and they're all tired and they need like a push to get through. I would always be on the microphone like helping them get through it and cheering them on. And so when I was voicing Chuck, a lot of that MC work that he does, like announcing the Beyblades, um, when that was going on, I was like, oh, this is just like that. So it was super cool. And he's just a little bit more of a tough boy character and a little gruff boy and very hyperactive and that was an easy one for me to play, I think, because I grew up, I have two brothers, and I grew up a lot around a lot of boys, and I was always a tomboy myself. And he's just a super cool character, super high energy, cool, along for the ride, and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, voicing him was fun. Super fun.
Interesting.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I think that was my and that was my first I think that was my first time on Disney XD, was it?
Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah.
It
Mm.
I know because I've seen it through my YouTube subscriptions, which I meant following them, you know. It's what it was meant, you know. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
I thought so.
Yeah.
But anyway, what's the coolest thing when you got to play Coco in Goddess of Victory Nike?
Oh, that was fun because we didn't have a voice reference. Usually you'll get a voice reference and then you'll try to, kind of not match it, but make it similar, but more relevant to like English, sort of. And There was no reference for her. There was only a description, and the description was very like opposing. Like it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. They're like, she's very sleepy, but she's excited, but she's very, very young. And it's just like all kinds of like, what are we going to do with her? And so the director was like, well, what do you got? Let's do something different. What do you got that's really different? So I was like, maybe I'll give her a little bit of a lisp. So I gave her kind of a lisp to make her like a little tired. And but then I cued her up and had her like lisp and talk slow in some points, but then you've got to make her happy too. So it was very interesting figuring out a voice for her. And that was cool. I think that most people, if they hear her, they would have no idea that I was the voice actor for her. So I feel like a lot of the work I do, I think I get a lot of either little boys or I get like sassy gremlin girls. And I think Coco is kind of different. Yeah.
I see that. You know, it it's such an honor to finally meet you at last, Amber, and that you are a very wonderful, kind person. And also, one more thing.
Yes.
Would you tell your voice actor friends I said hello? Also, because of me posting it through social media, so that everybody, including your voice actor friends, know of this. So that one day, if I'm ever to come to California, when I become a professional voice actor myself, I'll like to recruit you and everybody else to be part of my projects, or even better, working with you through everything so that way I can finally fulfill my dream of finally seeing myself through television, just like I did with others for months. Gizay, it's something
That
I'm
is,
working hard for, and that's all to it.
I can tell. And you're working hard, and you are going to make it happen. Absolutely.
I'm glad you say that, Amber, and that's the reason why I love voice actors so much because they just do the right thing and just support everybody through everything. That way they don't go with through many difficult stuff that we are working hard for. And it's like the saying says, nobody's perfect. We often have to approve ourselves and make sure we do better in our own ways. That way we can do what needs the necessity for ourselves.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, Amber, tell your kids and family and friends that I said hello, and hopefully you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you through social media.
You too. And thank you so much, Sebastian. This has been a lot of fun.
I'm glad you say that. See you around, my friend.
See you around, my friend. Bye bye.
Bye.